Leveraging your sphere is the name of the game if you want to build a scalable, predictable real estate business. But the problem is that most coaches and brokers just say, well, leverage your sphere. And you're sitting there thinking, well, I have no sphere and I don't know how to build one and I don't know what to do with one. So where do I start? And so in today's video, I bring on Jeremy Kane, who's been a top producer for multiple years, breaking 50 deals every single year. And he breaks down how he gets all of his business from his sphere. But not only that, how to actually build one when you don't have one. So today we're going to be breaking down how to build your sphere from scratch, from absolutely zero. What to do when you start to build the sphere in terms of leveraging your CRM and how to approach that, how to reach out and stay top of mind, and different strategies that you can use in order to also convert conversations into booked appointments and closed deals, and how to even transition your business to a more listing focused business during the heat of all of this NAR proposed settlement chaos that a lot of people are a little bit nervous about. So before bringing on Jeremy, two quick things. Number one, I'll link all of his content below. He has a production focused YouTube channel, which is all about his local market, but he also has an incredible channel talking about the strategies that we're going to dive into today. And I'll also link his calendar below in case you would like to chat with him. He's one of the best mentors I've seen in the industry. He sits down with people one-on-one, helps them build out plans. And I've truthfully seen him take a lot of people from struggling to breaking six figures. And that sounds like something you need. You want to chat with him. So let's bring on Jeremy and talk all things sphere, nurturing, database, and how to start closing more deals this year. All right, Jeremy. So super excited to have you here and back again, man, where today we're going to be talking about a really hot topic, which is how to deliver and over-deliver on your sphere, but also how to transition your business to a more listing dominant business. I think with the proposed NAR settlement and everything that's going on in the industry, that should have always been the goal for most agents, but this is kind of a nudge to be like, okay, now you can't just, say that that's a future plan. It has to be a today plan, but not many people know where to get started with that, and you do. So before diving in to the tactical, maybe just give yourself a quick introduction, and then we'll start going into sphere, listing domination, and everything for agents to go on the listing side.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me, Mike. Always good to be back on your channel with your audience. They do such a good job for engagement and all of those things. So yeah, man, 10 years in the business, going on my 11th year here in July. And ultimately I got in the business and was like, I don't want to pay Zillow any money. We've done a video on that, so we won't dive into that. I don't want to pay for leads. How do I create a business that's sustainable and replicatable across the board? And so Sphere it was. I was trained, Brian Buffini back in the day, did kind of that tactic, had the great foundation of that, and then kind of left that, merged social media, partnered with you, and have really taken off with video and all of those things as kind of all just pouring into my sphere and helping the people that already know, like, and trust me.
Yeah, man, it's been incredible to see your journey and the window of time that I've been able to gratefully be a part of it. And you're consistently doing 50, 60 deals a year, even more sometimes. And so you've built this very scalable but predictable business. And I think that's the end goal that so many agents want, is consistent, predictable. And a lot of agents are kind of flying by the seat of their pants. They don't know where the next deal is coming from, when it's coming, if it's coming, and they don't quite know what to do. They always hear, everybody harping, you got to leverage your sphere, you got to nurture your sphere. And they're kind of just sitting back saying, well, what the heck do I do to achieve that goal? They don't know where to start. So let's talk about sphere first before we go into transitioning more listing focused of, what are you seeing? Because you've coached hundreds of new agents on how to properly leverage their sphere and seen incredible results. So where should people go with that?
Yeah, with the sphere, especially joining the Wolfpack and all of these great producers that we have here, I don't care who it is, right? If they're studs on Instagram getting out of their luxury cars, or they're crushing YouTube videos on new home tours, they all come back to sphere, right? And they use those tools to build their sphere. It's not that, Instagram is something you should ignore. But if you sit down at the table like we do at our leaders table, every single one of them, when you ask them why they're so successful, the word sphere of influence is usually in the first sentence. They may use another vehicle to get there, but building that community is absolutely huge. And if you have a community, it's a lot easier to, know and see the people that you need to be maybe pouring into a little bit more, the people who are ultra connected. And then maybe you're leveraging their sphere beyond, your mutual sphere that, a church, a gym, whatever that we use. But if you can build the relationships with those people that are community builders, your sphere is unlimited. And essentially you're just have to show up, provide value, be consistent in what you do, and your value proposition is taken care of, because the intro and that weird, awkward, like, you're a realtor, are you trying to scam me, kind of MO is out the window, because they already have that reference. And this is why, all of the, personal references and all of the things that you can have is absolutely key.
Yeah, definitely. And so, there's going to be a lot of people saying, well, I don't have a sphere. I'm sitting here today. I know that I need a sphere, but like, what should I do going forward on a daily, weekly, monthly basis in order to build this sphere? And then we can kind of jam out about how to actually properly service and nurture that sphere.
Yeah. When agents say that to me, I kind of challenge, right? I don't care if you just moved into a new state or city, you've already built little microspheres, whether it's in your apartment community, whether it's, at the gym, at the church, your kids' school, your kids' activities. And you say, well, I'm young, I'm single, I came here on a whim. And you say, okay, well, in this business, you have to talk to people. And in life, you typically talk to people. And so that's where the introvert argument kind of comes into play, right? And so you say, okay, well, you're going to have to talk to people. But the way that I teach this is to just observe in a group of people, find the people who are ultra connected. The lady that's at the church that's greeting everybody, that gave you the welcome, package when you came in, or the person at the gym that's talking to everyone. Maybe even they work at the gym and they're kind of the concierge or whatever you're looking at. Find those people that are having more conversations and just develop a relationship with them. Typically, those people are extroverted. You can have a one-on-one conversation and they can do the talking for you if you show up authentic, valuable. And, the trick that I use is just ask them how you can help them in their life, right? It doesn't have to be real estate. It might be helping them move. It might be, hey, I own this side business that I'm looking to get going. There's a million different ways we can help someone. And if you lead with that, with the giver's gain, obviously, I think that's where you can build it. So no matter if you're introverted or extroverted, there's a way to build a community. You just have to do it intentionally with the right approach, which isn't, do you know anyone who wants to buy or sell? That word should never come out of your mouth again. Right?
Agreed. And I think a lot of people overcomplicate it. I've had Lily from our group on the channel, and she, did $300,000 in her first year as a new agent that just moved from Colombia, that literally didn't know anybody, didn't have a car or cell phone. And all she did was talk to everybody that was on her journey. The person that gave her, that she bought coffee from at the coffee shop, or somebody at the gym, or somebody at the store, or at the groceries, like just talking to everybody. And that's been kind of a consistent theme from all the agents that I see, even in my own market, that are absolutely crushing it. They're the name of the town. But when they got started, they just talked to anybody humanly possible in an unreal estate related conversation. And eventually the usually talking point always comes up, oh, well, what do you do? And right. So I think that's really important for people to not overcomplicate things, and using that I don't have a sphere as a crutch, well, then go build one. And guess what? The only thing you have to do to build one is to talk, which you're already going to be doing anyway. So I love that you kind of simplified that and made that the priority. Now, after you start to build a sphere, and I want to talk about best practices while building a sphere, whether it be, as you start to add people to what should people do? Like, what's for somebody getting started, what does that process look like? And how should somebody start to say, okay, I'm talking to these people, I got some, names or numbers or emails or whatever, like what the heck do I do with that?
Yep, absolutely. And I always tell people to start with their phone. And people say, well, I'm from California, I'm not licensed. Every single one of those people that already knows, likes, and trusts you can help you launch your business using referral business, So even if there's people in your phone that, aren't transacting in your local market where your board, where your license is hung, whatever, there could be potential business, right? So if you absolutely know everyone, you don't want to go talk to people, like everyone has a sphere starting in their phone. And so that's the first place that we have it. And so then I encourage, obviously, leverage a CRM. There's a million CRMs. I think I might have been on all of them at this point. And ultimately, it's just a database of names and phone numbers. So if you're, at a brokerage that doesn't offer a CRM for free, just click on your Google account, go to a Google Sheets. You need your name, phone number, email address, social media preference. I grab a birthday, like whatever you can get. And I want to talk to people about this because there's some other training out there that would say you need all of these things to add someone to your database. If you have a phone number and a name, which is what most people will have in their cell phone, just put that. Start there, right? You have a connection point with a phone call or a text message, right? Maybe someday down the road, you can grab their email, right? And then you can get more tactical. But in this build phase, put everybody you know in a CRM or a database of any kind and put the point of contact you have with them. And in this day and age, it might just be IG DMs or, Facebook Messenger. That's okay, but note it because the more consistent you can get. Now, if you could get everyone's phone number, you can send a text message. If you get everyone's email, which is very important, even if you're on the social media channels, to pull an email list, because one day that social media channel could turn off and you don't want to be associated with any of that when it has to do with your income and providing for your family. So organize it in some way. Journaling kind of practice is huge. You say, how many people did I talk to today? Make sure you do it because people are like, well, I'm not going to sit there and add them. Well, just at the end of the day, look at your Google Calendar, where you went, what you did, and make sure you just put people in there. Maybe notes about, something they said that might be your entry into providing them value.
Yeah, it's a simple approach, and I think done is better than perfect in the sense that the average agent doesn't do anything with contact information. So just by putting something, you're miles ahead of the majority of the industry. And so we've unpacked how to start to build it, how to start to actually organize it. Something that you've done really well with is how to actually service it. And this is where a lot of people get jacked up in the sense that they think they can't take action unless they have the perfect drip campaign or the perfect script or know the perfect thing to say. And so instead of doing something, they end up doing nothing and they get all trapped in their head. And then they've got a database that they actually have built, but it's doing absolutely nothing for their business. So when it comes to people starting to build momentum and starting to leverage their sphere, what do we need to do on an ongoing basis to turn this list into appointments, conversations, and closed deals?
Yep, absolutely. And I will tell you, when you're starting out, there's a million ways to build a business, right? And people are going to throw marketing, this drip campaign, this, flyer, whatever. And the biggest thing that I've learned from my business partner, our business partner, Louis Galt, is don't do anything that you hate. 9 times out of 10, people are like, okay, I have to cold call. I hate it when people cold call me. Well, don't build your business that way. Everything works. If you hate being marketed to in a certain way, you have to find something else to do in your business. And that's end of story. If you hate getting junk mail and you hate getting free coupons in the mail, don't send out free coupons, right? It goes across the board. If you hate social media, like it, I guess. but but that's the first and foremost thing is people like set themselves up for failure or just stress and hell, I think, if they're doing something that they absolutely hate being marketed to that way as a consumer. Don't do it. So start there. My motto lately is everything works, right? It just takes, a little bit of planning and then relentless consistency. So start there with what it is, right? And you need points of contact. whether that's, consistent live social media posts that I've done for 3-4 years now, or if it's, a call, right, in the fall saying, hey, it's time to winterize your sprinkler system or service your furnace and heating system, whatever that is. If you can just develop touch points and start with, okay, I want to have 30 or, whatever touch points you want a year. By the time you're 10 years in, you have 150 touch points for your sphere, and it's consistent and it's reliable. And certainly not everyone reads or listens to my live every single week, right? But it's a touch point. It's a reminder on their phone when their phone buzzes, Jeremy Kane's going live. That's all that matters. It's a sports schedule on the refrigerator that I see over and over and over again. I was actually just thinking today, like, I don't know, I don't really want to do these baseball schedules, but every house I go to, my face is on their refrigerator. Sometimes they just rip off the schedule at the end of the year and I'm like on there 7 times. I'm like, hey, weirdo. But just those little things that stay consistent matter, right? And just start to build it, because you don't have to do 1 million. You don't even have to do 30 your first year. I would suggest doing about that, but just do something that you can commit to with the time you have afforded, and do it over and over and measure what gets managed, right? And build upon that.
Yeah. And so, breaking it down, I think, one of the value driven ways that I think is really easy is, again, based on, kind of looking at a seasonal market, like you kind of alluded to, of like, how value driven approaches that somebody would actually see as enlightening, in the sense of, have you replaced your filters, right? Just checking in, because I know many people haven't. Or did you winterize your sprinklers? Or have you done X, Y, and Z? Like, stuff that's related to real estate, but just value driven, are very easy ways to check in on somebody and just spark up a conversation. I think a lot of people overcomplicate that and think that they need to go for a close every time they follow up with somebody. But at the end of the day, people will close themselves if they constantly think about you when the time is right for them. So, one kind of little, nudge I'm going to give you is, what would your recommendation be for the average agent to start with a first reach out? So if you're to say, okay, today, I know there's a ton of things that I could do, but I'm just trying to think of, like, what the heck should I do today? What's your kind of general advice to the average person if they were to say, okay, today, after this call, after this video, I'm going to actually take the afternoon to go call my sphere. And This is what I'm going to do.
Yeah. I would start with 5 or 10 people in your phone, and, you'll have their name in their phone. You can, obviously, if they are local and you do have some people, if you're not brand new to an area, start with 10 people. Take that first person, search them on the internet. Like, look at Facebook, look at Instagram. Is there a life event that you can talk about? Do they have kids? Can you reference some of that? And just connect, right? Hey, this is Jeremy. How you doing? I just saw that your, little daughter had her 2nd birthday. Oh my goodness, I can't believe I haven't seen her since she was 3 months old, right? How's she doing? How are you guys doing? Is there anything I can do to help you? Or you see something else about, people post like disasters all the time. Like, just reaching out, making sure that everything came together for that, whatever you have. Now, if they're clients of yours and you're a little bit more experienced, I, pride myself on my annual review process. Hey, just want to reconnect. Your home is an asset, and there's a lot of stuff in the news about, real estate agents and all the things. I'm just providing value. Do you want to maybe have a meeting, an annual review based on your asset of your home? We'll check if you're in the right mortgage, how you're, if you have mortgage insurance that needs to come off. If you have insurance, what's the property insurance look like? There's a fire here in northern Colorado. 85% of the homes were underinsured, and people showed up with a burnt piece of land, an insurance check that had to go pay off their mortgage, and they had the burnt piece of land at the end. And so stuff like that, especially with our wild appreciation, is massively important. And hopefully it never happens that, someone has to endure that. But if you make that call and their house burns down the next day and they called the insurance agent and updated their insurance policy, You don't think that you're going to be compensated as a buyer's agent in the future for somebody like that? So that's what I would do. Just try and provide value. But I would, go back to the basics, the Ford method, right? Family, occupation, recreation, dreams, like basic stuff. But we have the tool of the phone where we have their information. We have the tool of the internet and social media where we can search them, right? And maybe they're not on there. Then it's more, hey, how can I help you? Was just driving through your neighborhood, haven't thought about you in a while. How you doing? Just have those conversations. And at first they might be like, oh yeah, we're great. We don't, want to buy and sell, but that's their prerogative. That's what they know in their mind is the typical real estate agent. That's why you're calling. So sometimes you have to navigate around that and be like, no, I'm just checking in. Wanted to make sure you guys were good. Say hi. You could also have an event, right? Hey, I'm going to be at the brewery, in a couple weeks, kind of near you. Just getting everybody together, having a happy hour, getting XYZ crew together if it's from an old work or whatever, and just invite people out. And they may say no, and that's okay. The less people that come, the less the tab is. But just that kind of openness, I think, is massive.
Yeah, dude. I think, I love that you kind of dove into the fact that at the end of the day with our phones and with social, we have everybody's information at our fingertips, and you can personalize a reach out based on doing a 30-second search on Instagram or TikTok or Facebook or anything for probably about 90 to 95% of anybody that could ever show up in your database. And
Right.
So I love that. And oftentimes people just came back from a vacation or they went over Christmas or whatever, but it's just that simple and everybody's overcomplicating it. And, one of the things that I love that, and I don't know if you're cool with unpacking this, but on one of our calls, you talked about kind of a cool line that you learned from a coach of how to transition, a conversation with somebody that's, a barista at the coffee shop into somebody that has now turned into an actual client with you. I think before we go into the listing side of things, that's a really cool piece of insight that a lot of people are going to connect with, so we can play that out if you're cool with it.
Yeah, absolutely. No secrets here. And this is what I do. I just help my agents do this, right? Let's build it up and let's go. So it's actually from Phil Jones. He has a book called Exactly What to Say. And inevitably people will ask you, how's the market? Is it a good time to buy? Is it a good time to sell? And he kind of started this by saying, well, if you're talking to someone in Florida and you ask them how the weather is, 95% of the people don't care. But that's just what you say, especially for Mike and I, being from colder climates. We talk to somebody in the South, Florida especially, it's like, how's the weather? And I tune it out. I don't even care. It's just like a conversation starter, right? There's people and famous people that teach cold calling and they ask them how the weather is. And that wouldn't fly in Colorado. But if you're talking to somebody in Florida, they're pretty used to it, I think. But anyways, he said they don't really care. And so you have an opportunity to control the conversation when someone asks you, hey, Mike, how's the market, right? And if Mike responds, interesting, why do you ask? He has just taken that conversation from small talk, BS, to 100% a prospecting conversation. Because sometimes they'll be like, those are people that don't care. Right. Yeah. So, they're not listening to you wrap off. It's a great time to buy. It's a great time to sell. They don't care. And if you say, interesting, why do you ask? They might say, well, my sister's thinking about selling. Boom. Prospect. Amazing. Go down that route. Right now, agents, this is the most important part. Don't say it's a great time to sell. Ever. Because it's definitely indicative to the person that's asking that question. You can have that conversation with them, but just say, this is what's going on. Interest rates are a little bit high. We're seeing demand pick up a little bit, but it's really about having a conversation with where the people are at, right? Because sister may be getting a divorce. Sister may be having a baby that, well, it's a great time to sell if the house no longer suits their needs, but you don't know that. And the honest truth is you want to get to a conversation with the sister. So you kind of drop some knowledge, make sure you know what's going on in the market if you need to. And then say, yeah, I'd love to connect and just have a conversation with her. Would you mind connecting us in a text message or whatever? And, for instance, at the coffee shop, he said, well, my fiance and I are teachers. We're just going to get our licenses, in the fall, and we're hoping to have a job locked up by then. And then we want to buy a house. Well, I was able to say, well, I have a home buyer program that I help some teachers out because, I appreciate what they do for the community. Here's my card. Finish out your teaching stuff. I used to be a teacher myself, and let's have a conversation, right? The market will be very different when it matters to you. So watch those interest rates, stay in touch. I do market updates on my socials. You can do whatever you want from there, but you turn that into just a, basic laissez-faire conversation into a prospect.
Yeah, man, it's those simple things that really make all the difference of turning a casual, nonchalant conversation that will go nowhere to something that actually turns it into something tangible. I get that all the time. If somebody comes up at the gym or something and they know I'm in real estate, and they used to always ask, how's the market doing? And I would usually respond in the realm of, that's a pretty big question. Why? What's up?
Mm-hmm.
And then immediately I just kind of pre-framed it's a big question, aka it really depends what your scenario is. And then the call to action of why, what's up is a super casual way to be like, tell me why you're asking that question. Because the average person isn't just genuinely curious with no sort of outcome or goal associated with that question. So it's those little things that go so far in this industry, and it's such a subtle, easy thing to adopt into your business. Listings. Let's dive into it, because with the proposed settlement, it's buyers are still going to be here. Buyers agents are still going to get compensated. I think a lot of people are overplaying everything, capitalizing on the views and the clicks and all this kind of nonsense, and just instilling fear across the industry, which, pisses me off quite a bit. But, we take a positive approach to this conversation and we want to help people kind of shift their business to a more listing focused business. What are you kind of saying people should be doing right now? Because we know it's guaranteed to happen. We don't know the exact details of what's happening, but we know that something is changing that will have some sort of impact on buyers agents. So with that knowing, what do we do to prepare to start leaning more into listings?
Yeah, I think that's super important. You've already said on this call that you should probably be focusing on listings anyways, right? That's been the answer forever, right? List to last, list or die, whatever you want to say. And so now there might be a movement to it. But when I'm talking to agents in my conversations, I talk to 50, 60 agents a day sometimes. And there's two different frames of reference, or three, I guess. Some are like, this is the end of the industry. I'm out of here. Please don't be that person. The second one is, I'm just going to wait until it all plays out and figure out what to do from there. This settlement may not go, but I think this settlement will have some sort of trickle down effect on the industry as a whole. The other ones, the small percentage, what we're talking to our group about, you've said it, Connor said it, Louis, I've talked to several agents in my sphere that I coach, and what all the things I do is, well, we know there's a change coming, so why are we waiting? Right? And I think that, the sphere piece is great because those people know, like, and trust you. And, those conversations with those buyers that might have to pay a little bit extra cash to you for a commission are going to happen. And it's going to be a lot easier with that person you've talked to and served in the past than it is the brand new stranger that you just met, from a lead from some source. And you have to say, hey, fill out this paper on the hood because I can't open that door until I have this contract signed. Right. So that conversation is going to be a little bit easier or less easy in a more awkward situation. And then you have the listings, right? So let's move to listings. Let's do everything we can to transition our content to homeowners, right? I tell people all the time, they're like, what do I do to get more listings? I was like, well, you have to talk to more homeowners, right? Mm-hmm. If you don't own a home, it's never going to be a listing. And don't forget about those people as we go, but just transition, right? Ideas such as, home maintenance tips. Start tailoring your target avatar instead of an age group, homeowner, right? And how do you talk to those homeowners? What will help them? That's the annual review process, right? I'm going to act as your financial planner for that asset that's usually more expensive than your stock portfolio. How do you want to talk about it, right? How do you want to manage it? Who do you need to mow the lawn? Who do you need to replace the furnace? All of those things. So I'm building that network as well. Again, the connected people, small business owners, and they're going to help me build the business if I help them. So that's the biggest thing. Talk to homeowners. How are you going to talk to homeowners? And we've discussed this at length. I think there's going to be a certain segment of buyers that are always willing, right? The relocation buyers, the people that are coming to you from those social media platforms. Don't just abandon it, right? Don't just go from, and we see it all the time. We see like these people in fitness, right? They get into real estate and they have this crazy fitness following. And then all of a sudden it's like, now I'm in real estate, home tours, and, every home tour you can see I'm gaining weight because I'm not in fitness anymore, or whatever that looks like. Don't just abandon what's working, right? That's still a pillar of your business. Just shift it a little bit, right? Talk to all those buyers that you already converted that are owning homes, because now they're maybe that target avatar. Maybe it's first-time home sellers become a niche target, first-time home buyers. And so I think that's absolutely massive. So annual reviews, anything to start a conversation, anything to be a resource. If I'm cold calling on, hey man, it's going to be winter here. It's going to be summer here. And I'm going to link up with a small business to offer a little bit of a discount. Hey, you mentioned my name, they'll give you 5% off or 10% off of your furnace cleaning or your, sprinkler blowout or turn on. Or every season you can find a reason to reach out to people and call. But now it's not just like, did you see what that house sold for? You can do all of those things, but I think providing value is going to be more and more important in order to build that relationship. So when the time comes, the know, like, and trust thing is there for you to have the conversation.
Yeah, certainly. And when I'm glad that you brought up social media content, because one of the things that I'm getting asked quite frequently, and I'd love to get your take on this. I think we're going to have a pretty similar opinion. A lot of agents are reaching out saying, okay, Mike, video content, should I be putting out videos right now that are talking about the NAR proposed settlement? I've got a pretty strong opinion on that, but I'd love to hear what your take is when something is not yet firm.
Yeah, I mean, I think that as an agent in production, we are getting questions about that. So putting information out based on the questions you are getting and speaking to it, I would say is okay. Now, if it's like a tutorial on everything and then you're speaking in guarantees and things like that, absolutely not. I would not do that. It's not going to be a popular opinion. It's not going to be like, hey, I have this new way to, there was the one that went around that had, within the listing description, it had 3 capitalized and per capitalized and cent capitalized in another word. Like, don't try that stuff. I wouldn't mess with that. I mean, the DOJ is involved. It's a pretty serious measure. So I would, just like you always say, make content based on the questions you're getting asked and be completely transparent that this is just a proposed settlement. The work should be happening in the background for you to transition. If this settlement goes, we're going to be ready. If it goes back to the appeals and there's no settlement, still start getting ready, because if that's the case, it's going to be a lot worse for us, in my opinion. So if they sign this and go from there, so start, Joshua Smith says this, right? Prepare for the worst, prepare for the worst and expect the best, and whatever happens kind of in between, you'll be okay. But if you're prepared for the very worst thing that could happen come July or August or November or whatever, and you're prepared like that, and you're transitioning your business to a different kind of idea, then you'll be just fine.
Yeah, definitely. And I think because, I see so many agents that are really trying to bullishly capitalize on the viewership of riding this trend of the settlement to the point where they're not really thinking of the repercussions of speaking on something that isn't firm. And I think, like you say, that the perfect solution, and I'll talk about what's good, what's bad, that the good is start to put out value-driven responses to questions, start to put out listing-focused content tailored to homeowners. That's good, because people get the point. If you're putting out content related to, sellers, or related to a buyer's journey potentially changing, they get the point without you getting yourself in hot water, because there's a lot of agents that are sitting here thinking, I need to literally unpack the lawsuit on my content and talk about it. But you're just opening up a can of worms. If you say the one wrong thing, it's on video. You can't go back and change it. Don't subject yourself to it, And so I think it's important. Now, the last thing I'd love to kind of touch on is, we talked about the sphere. We talked about how to, identify it, build it, service it, nurture it, transitioning the listings. What are you doing on the buyer side? And I think there's a lot of people are yes, talking about listings, but not enough people are really talking about how to love on your buyers and do the right thing, do a great job, to the point where when a change does occur in the future, whatever that looks like, they're going to see the value in you.
Absolutely. And I have a lot of ideas around this, ranging from collecting as many buyers as I can and having some sort of agreement with them that, in the proposed settlement, the listing agent's still going to have the opportunity to offer a commission, whatever, just not on the MLS, to just providing the value and having the conversation, right? So it's really about, what value do you provide? And on the buyer side right now, I just had a crazy buyer side negotiation. I'm documenting all of that. I will talk about all of that. In fact, today, the day we're recording this, I'm releasing a video about a day in the life of real estate agents in long form video. What's that going to be used for? Everything that I do within a day, so that people they want transparency. Let's be transparent, right? And I say this all the time. This is probably an unpopular opinion, but as agents over the last 5 years, we've gotten almost 50-60% raise based on commissions from the transactions, because the home prices have gone up. So at some point, just look at your value and what's it actually worth. Be ultimately just look at your value and say, okay, what would I pay for that? And set your boundaries, set your limits, all the things. But if you wouldn't pay the commission that you typically earn on your value stack, you have two options: raise your value stack or lower your expectation. And so for the buyers, that's what I'd be doing. I mean, I'm here to tell you that, if I have 30 buyers in a little group over here, my listing presentation is going to be better than yours, right? If all these buyers get abandoned and I'm over here collecting them, looking for their exact buy box, exactly what they're looking for, whatever, and I can take that, I can say, hey, I have a list of 150 buyers that kind of got abandoned. Yours probably fits about 10 of these. What if we, get those guys in here and see if we can make it happen? Then all of a sudden you're double ending a deal. Then all of a sudden, whatever your minimum commission is, doesn't really matter, because you're using the buyer group that you have in order to market to get more listings. And, it might look different. We don't probably have an active pool of 50 buyers where you're just out showing and showing and showing and showing only the houses that they can afford to pay the commission that you've agreed on. You have this pool of buyers that's in waiting and say, hey, I'm going to go get your listing. I'm going to go find that. And if I can walk into a listing appointment, I don't care if it's against you or anybody else. If I have 50 buyers on a list in a specific zip code or whatever that I've been cool enough to have a consultation with, to talk to them about a plan and a strategy, I'm going to get that listing, and I'm probably going to sell it to one of those buyers.
100%, dude. I think it's so important to look into the future and start to proactively just understand, and I love the perspective that you shared of would you pay yourself? It's kind of the perspective that I take when it comes to like video content. Like, would you watch your own video? Would you follow yourself or subscribe to yourself or comment on your own video? If you wouldn't, how can you expect somebody else to? Taking that unbiased consumer perspective is so valuable, because you're expecting somebody to pay something that you wouldn't see the value in yourself if the shoe was on the other foot. And I love that. And I think we have so much time right now. It's going to come up quick, but we have time to sit back and do those reflections that you alluded to, which I think are important. Nobody has the right answer right now, but you can take a few hours every day, or I guess a few hours over the next couple of weeks to really just audit yourself, audit your business, and see what should you be doing, because this is going to be a massive opportunity for those that capitalize on it and a fatal opportunity for those that ignore it. And so, as we kind of pull this together, you're working on a ton of cool things, and I'm of course going to link both of your channels below, because you've got an incredible channel educating agents on these principles on a much more deeper tactical level, but you're also working on a ton of cool projects. And what I'd love for you to kind of leave us with is, you and I are partners. We have Louis in the middle too. And so
poor Louis.
Yeah, poor Louis. from my help on marketing, branding, and advertising, Louis' help on time management, productivity, and systems, and your support on actual custom tailor roadmaps for agents to become a strong producer. What could people expect when aligning with you going forward? If there's people out there that are saying, I need help with my business, I want to get ahead of the curve, I want to align with somebody that is on top of this.
Yeah, absolutely. I have some coaching stuff that I'm rolling out. I'm always doing things like this. I'm a teacher at heart. I'm a coach at heart. And so, a webinar, buyer's agent to listing agent in 30 days. We'll have a ton of stuff, tactical things to pour into there, as well as a course that's coming out to really build the foundations of your business. All of that's for free, if you were to join, but there's also opportunities to buy it outside of the joining our brokerage. But ultimately, when I'm face to face with those agents, it's let's build a plan, right? Let's give you a game plan for what you want to do. Okay, because again, everything works. We just have to make a plan, stick to the plan, and be relentlessly consistent in our efforts. And so that's kind of what I do. I meet with my agents, sometimes weekly at first, and we get things rolling, and I say, okay, these are going to be your pillars. This is what's going on. So certainly you have the courses and things, but it's a one-on-one process when you join me. And it's like, okay, we're going to have a meeting. It's an hour-long meeting. We're going to talk about all the stuff you get when you join our group. And then we're going to talk about where you want to go, right? Where are we going with this? What do you want it to look like? Because that's the thing I failed on early on in the business, is thinking everybody around me wanted to close 100 deals. When I asked that question off the bat, some people are like, I want to close 12 deals. Or the famous, I just want to make 6 figures, right? Well, 6 figures in our industry is obtainable pretty quickly if you are dedicated to the time and effort and energy it takes. And so we're going to sit down, we're going to make that game plan for you. A lot of, where people are like, okay, well, that's new agents. What am I going to do? Well, do you sell 12 or 20 houses a year and want to double that? Like, let's go. Let's put a vision in place. Let's bounce ideas off each other, because at that point you have experience in the industry, and let's build those pillars, and let's stop chasing every shiny object, right? Have like a 5% block in your calendar for shiny objects, and a 95% block into what works, what's going to build you, what's going to fill you up, and ultimately what's going to help you reach your goal, not someone else's goal.
Yeah, big time, man. It's so important, especially with all the changes and the ambiguity in the industry, to be aligning with people that have your best interests and are incentivized to see you win, to help you win, to help you grow, and to actually make sure that you have a proven path of action to achieve those goals. And, I've seen you pour into people, completely change their business and life forever, and help them go from, struggling on the verge of giving up to building momentum and consistently breaking the 6-figure levels. So guys, again, I'm going to link all of Jeremy's incredible content below, as well as his calendar. He is a coach at heart. He's a servant at heart, and he has changed so many people's lives. So if if you're not where you want to be right now, especially with all the things coming, you want to book that conversation and see what we could do to help you go to the next level. So again, Jeremy, thank you so much, man.
Yeah, thanks so much, Mike. Thanks for all you do for us, and looking forward to crushing the next 12 months, right? It's always the start of the next 12 months.
Exactly. Well, guys, again, check it all out. Please make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next video.